we're going to be going down to a match of Boros Energy versus Boros Energy. We can head down there right now. MTGO Masters Week 9 Season 2 winners qualification match for the top 8. We got Kanister on Boros Energy against Alexander Hayne on, well, also Boros Energy. Now,
yeah, this has been like, I mean, I think it's like the default like top deck in Modern right now after the recent bans, so I'm not surprised to see this matchup.
yeah, pretty common matchup, I think, going forward into the future RCs early next year as well. So we see Kanister take a mulligan for pretty bad hand, no lander, bunch of 3-drops, puts back a Ragavan, keeps this hand of Elegant Parlor, Guide Souls, Ocelot, Arena of Glory, Discharge. It's not a bad hand. It's just a little bit slow.
Yeah, Canister had the if he had like a Sacred Foundry as one of those lands, it would look a lot like faster, as you're saying. Hand's hand is not particularly great either. I don't think. I mean, both hands are okay, not
Yeah, I
great.
think despite Canister's hand being a little slow, Alexander's hand is a little bit anemic even. Not a ton of threats here. It's mostly just removal in the form of the Phlages and the Galvanic. Eventually, that Phlage is going to be a massive threat for Canister to deal with, but it's going to take a little bit of time to get there.
Yep, I agree. I mean, not having a great play here. I mean, Hayne does have 2 removal spells, so he can go removal, Flage. Yeah, I think I prefer Hayne's situation slightly just because he has the Flage, but um, and he can deal with some of these early creatures, and then Flage in theory cleans things up.
Yeah, I wonder if it's going to be a Guided Souls plus removal spell turn, or maybe just runs out the Ocelot Pride. I think it makes more sense to just play Guided Souls plus removal this turn.
Oh, is he just gonna pass here? That's interesting. So he's thinking this is like a this is next level stuff right here because I think he's on a level knowing Canister has the removal and maybe not wanting to fill up the graveyard. I'm not sure, but it's kind of an interesting play to just pass.
Yeah, I don't hate it at all because you can definitely just leave up double removal here and probably not get punished for it.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, the Canister ends up saving the discharge and using the bolt. I wasn't sure which one he would use there.
I think the discharge is definitely a little bit more valuable game 1, but post board, I think using the discharge first is important because of the sun cleansers.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I was thinking you get a little energy back if you use it. Yeah, I guess he's not going face with the bolts. So.
Yeah, there's a world where maybe Galvanic kills a Phlage this game.
So Canister is just grabbing Gigantha and settling in for this game. And had he gone with the creature plan, it would have been so much better for Hayne. I mean, look, he's as it turns out, he's just been drawing a ton of removal.
Yeah, and Haynes gonna get really punished for buying Giganta here. Taking the shields down on any of the removal means that Canister gets to go Guided Souls, Ocelot this turn.
Oh man, yeah, this is kind of crazy. That Canister's definitely getting rewarded here for his patience.
Yeah, this was like some masterful patience by Canister. Not just deploying one creature out at a time, just waiting for, all right, here's 4 creatures in one turn when you're tapped out and have a very clunky and awkward hand and can't get 4th land drop on top of that.
Yeah, and now it's looking. I mean, Haynes' hand is so awkward. He doesn't have another land, which is really the what he. I mean, if he had another land here, he would be in good shape. But as is, just burning 2 removals, it's not great.
Yeah, I can't even spend the full 3 removal either because we don't have triple red here.
Right.
Very, very awkward for Alex.
But I like the pass here because then he can get rid of anything that Canister decides to. Well, I guess he could potentially. trigger both Guide of Souls, which that's kind of a problem here.
Yeah, if the Guided Souls targets the same thing, though, we do have an opportunity to remove it in response to the first one, so shouldn't be too bad for Alex. Although this Hasty Giganta is doing its best Reality Smasher impression and getting in there for 5.
Yeah. And now, I mean, Alex may get rid of the well, he's gonna get rid of probably the one Guide of Souls, I'm guessing. But he would still he's still dealing with a yeah, a pretty threatening board.
Yeah, puts the counters on the cat token and also on
I think w
itself.
yeah, so I like that play because then you're not targeting the same thing. I assume that Hayne, yeah, gets rid of the one Guide of Souls that's getting targeted.
Yeah, still not happy about this if you're Hayne, though. You're just taking like a massive chunk of damage here, and you couldn't really even spend your Galv to kill the Giganta because then you're taking more damage from the Guided Souls. I guess maybe was it better for Hayne to just spend the Galvanic on the Giganta and take 2 less damage there?
Well, I really like this Aether Hub draw. I think Hayne's right back in it with this draw because he can Galvanic the Gigantha now and also flage away the one of the threats. Um,
Yeah, probably the Guide, and then take another 3 from the cat.
yeah, I'm curious if he does get rid of the guide versus the cat.
Plus, we got Hasty Flage next turn. If we can, but we have to conserve what 1 energy, which we can do because of the Aether Hub.
So if he had gone Galvanic last turn on the Gigantha, yeah, I guess he would be at 2 more life, right?
Yeah, it would have been 2 more life, but you can't bolt the Guided Souls as the 3/4. That's the only difference, right?
Yeah, so you would have a that's a relevant difference, but yeah, he would have a bolt instead of a Galvanic, as it turns out. He was probably thinking, well, I have Flage, so I have this redundant 3 damage removal, and Galvanic can scale up as needed.
Yeah, it worked out for him pretty well. And now Kanister's kind of running on empty, no Flage in the graveyard, and there's going to be a hasty Flage coming back for Hayne here if he decides to do that.
Yeah, yeah, Haynes. I mean, I like how Kanister played this game, but Haynes had the better draw at least up to this point. But
Yeah,
Kanister could draw Flage, so if he draws Flage, he might be able to win with like a surprise hasty Flage play.
yeah, Kanister does have that 7th mana in hand, so he can cast Flage and escape Flage with haste all in the same turn.
Yeah, so that would be 12 damage.
I think it's 15.
15, yeah. Uh, anyways, that would have been the best draw.
Instead, we got our spicy Detectives Phoenix, as Kanister said. This is tech because he can't use rings because the rings were in his Amulet Titan list. So instead, he's got 1 copy of Lilia and 1 copy of Detectives Phoenix.
Yeah, I played the way this works is I played rings last week, so I couldn't play rings this week.
Yeah, no rings in your Eldrazi deck.
Yeah.
I ended up playing Boros and Eldrazi last time, so I locked myself off of quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. I think makes it tougher, but also fun to kind of maneuver. There's some things you can definitely make happen. I mean,
Yeah, you just got to go a little bit out of your comfort zone and play some untraditional cards.
and I gotta say, Hayne is. I mean, these are both the 2 players we're watching, incredible technical players. Hayne, I feel like like he's known for just like picking up decks and just like playing them perfectly, um, even without a ton of reps. Because he's not. I mean, Canister's streaming a lot and maybe has more reps with this matchup. But anyways, both are great players.
Oh, absolutely. Kanister
Yeah,
did mention to
amazing.
me that he has played very little Boros energy, so he's kind of
Uh,
just winging it today.
that's well, that didn't seem like by the way he played. It felt like he had played quite a bit, but oh,
Couple of Fear Fire foes coming in for Kanister.
I see the Chain to the Rocks, which I also have in my sideboard. I wasn't sure if that was going to be in all of the lists or
Oh, I'm
not.
sorry, that was Hayne that brought in the Fear Fire foes.
Mhm.
Kanister always picks all the wild arts. I also see that one copy of Felia, which is pretty spicy too.
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of that. So the Ragavan's coming out. That makes some sense to me. Um, Surgical Extraction. So that is an answer to Hayne's Flages. Now it looks like Canister has 4 Flage versus the 3 from Hayne, but even so, we saw how important Flage is. So if you are able to surgical it, the Graveyard Hate. I think on the other side we see that Soul Guide Lantern hanging out. So
Yeah, both of them
definitely, yeah,
have their ups and downs in this matchup. I'd say the Surgical taking every single other Flage is super nice, but the Soul Guide Lantern can sometimes like snipe a Flage if they can't escape it yet, plus like draw you a card later. So both these have their ups and downs for respective graveyard hate.
I'm surprised not to see more Sun Cleansers in Canister's list. It looks like he has 1 copy.
Yeah, just the one.
Okay.
And we can say like Sun Cleanser plays a big role, but sometimes there's just draws where Sun Cleanser is completely irrelevant. If they just go like Bombardment, Flage, just
Yeah.
other means of dealing damage, then the Sun Cleanser definitely looks a little bit anemic. So I don't hate just the one copy.
Yeah. I guess there's not really any one card that just. That's why this deck is so good. I mean, even Sun Cleanser, a card that you think is specifically built to kind of hose the strategy isn't. I mean, it's good in some situations. It can be very good, but in others, like you're saying, it's not what you're looking for.
And we do see the Bombardment and the Flage from the side of Canister. Kind of that 1-2 pack a punch to deal 4 damage to any creature. And, well, Sun Cleanser does have 4 toughness, but no Sun Cleanser on the side of Hayne. We got a Goddess Souls on turn 1. The Fear Fire foe is chilling out to be a pretty solid answer to the Ocelot Pride as well.
Yep.
We also have a Goblin Bombardment on Hayne's side, which is like we might see Goblin Bombardment versus Goblin Bombardment come down on this turn too, but instead, Canister elects just like cast the Lightning Bolt and get in for some damage with the Ocelot Pride, make a token, and leave this board a little bit better against Fear Fire foes. Or sorry, a little bit worse against Fear Fire foes.
Ooh, and that's a big draw for the Flage for Hayne. So now both players have the Flages. Now, interestingly, there is that Goblin Bombardment, but um, Canister did not deploy that yet. So, oh, Amp Raptor, spin the wheel. Let's see.
Interesting to go for the Amp Raptor here over the two or over the Goblin Bombardment. That will set up like a pretty nice turn 3.
Yeah, I wasn't sure what he would go for because I mean he was on no energy there, right? So
Yeah, looks like he revealed a 3-drop in Whiff.
right. So that's kind of the risk with the play. Um, he is a favorite, of course, to find something. I could see that having worked out well, but here it is. It didn't. And it's a big swing in Canister's favor.
Although, okay, the Goblin Bombardment's going to kind of ruin this a little bit.
Yeah,
But I was going to say if we could do 2 damage with the Fear Fire foes on to the Goddess Souls and then 1 damage to everything else, that will clear Canister's board. But I'm
yeah.
not sure how this works. If Fear Fire foes loses its target, does the rest of the card resolve?
I don't believe so. I feel like Canister is playing around the Fear Fire foes here. By
Yeah, so it fizzles if the target is gone, meaning that it won't clean up the rest of the board if Canister just sacks whatever it's targeting.
Yeah, so Hayne, he could have gone. Yeah, I mean, he could have gone bombardment last turn, and then the Flage play this turn would be a bit more impactful, but
Yeah, if he was able to Flage plus Bombardment, we could take out both the Goddess Souls and the Ocelot Pride here. Wouldn't gain any life because Kanister can fling it in response and then fizzle the life gain from the Flage, but I think you're still pretty happy to take out both of those as opposed to taking out, well, not much of anything here.
yeah. So he is still going for the bombardment. He could. He probably does still want to get rid of the Ocelot Pride, right?
Potentially, I think we're going to see Kanister deploy Flage here, targeting the Goddess Souls, so the Goddess Souls will probably get flung at the Ocelot. I think it's pretty appealing if you're Kanister here to deploy a Flage this turn, because if you top deck land, you already have the Arena of Glory rolled up.
Yeah, that's a good point. Although he does need, I guess he can fill up his graveyard
By
if it's
sacking
a
the stuff.
yeah, if it's a fetch land that also matters.
Yeah, there's some pretty cool ways to fill up the graveyard very fast with Flage and Bombardment. Once against the Nadu match, I hit my opponent with a Ragavan. I stole their Sylvan Safekeeper. I floated the Hasty Mana with Arena of Glory, and I sacrificed all my lands to escape the Flage faster. It's kind of a
So
cool little
he
line.
did go face there. I wasn't sure if he would. I was kind of thinking through in my head if he was gonna go after the guide or not. He can attack. He can still attack, but I guess if he's doing that,
Maybe he just wants to fling the 2 cats at the Goddess Souls.
yeah. I mean, intuitively, I was thinking he was gonna go after the guide of souls, but there is just that awkwardness with the bombardment there, and he can potentially burn through Haynes' life total. As you were saying, because the Flage, if Hayne does go after creature with that, he's not going to gain the life.
Yeah, so we'll see if Hayne wants to go upstairs to regain the 3 life that Kanister just dealt to him. Targeting any creature is not going to prove effective here. In fact, it's probably going to be pretty disadvantageous because that creature can get flung at the Goddess Souls, and then one more cat can get flung at it too and just kill the Goddess Souls.
Yeah,
Yeah, we really see Goblin Bombardment and Flage being the 2 mirror breakers in this matchup. And both players have access to both of them right now, so they're doing like this little dance around each other. And we do see the ping on the Goddess Souls.
yep, that makes sense. And he's going to go face here with the. Oh,
Looks like we targeted the Goddess Souls with the Flage. And then we're going to sack it targeting the Ocelot. We can sack the Ocelot targeting the Goddess Souls. Sack the Goddess Souls targeting a cat. Sack the cat targeting Hayne's face. Yep, upstairs. Kind of a fun little Goblin Bombardment exchange there.
yeah, I like that line from Hayne. I mean, I'm not.
Up top deck land. That's the game. Hasty Flage is 13, 14 damage total. 15 with the cat fling. Yeah.
GG's. So game 3, I guess. That's what I should be saying.
Yeah, going to game 3 here. Pretty well piloted from both players here. Very back and forth. Cool to see these Goblin Bombardment interactions just being traded constantly.
I wonder if either player has Celestial Purge, because that's like one of the only answers to both of those cards we were just talking about.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of at least 2 copies of Celestial Purge. I wonder if either of them will decide to bring in Wear Tear because Goblin Bombardment is so important. I doubt it, but
Oh, so Kanister, he didn't have the purges in, and he just brought his his copy in. So like this, I feel like for me planning for this week was challenging because I was looking at Purge and I was thinking, well, some of the black decks are not going to be necessarily as popular just because of the bans. I felt like kind of um the grief ban hammered some of those decks. So um, my personal favorite deck is the Necrodominance deck. So like Purge is pretty good against that, um, but it's kind of now like people playing it for the mirror.
Yeah, a lot of people are playing it for the mirror for, as you said, the flages and the bombardments. Also pretty good against any of the frog decks, like the one I brought today.
Mhm.
Hayne's opening hand, we got a Sun Cleanser, 1 lander, ships it instantly. We got a 3 lander, Sun Cleanser, Celestial Purge. That's a pretty solid hand from Hayne.
Yeah, and Hayne is on the place. Notably, Kanister doesn't really have any energy in his current hand.
Yeah, his current hand's a little clunky, so he shipped it, and they shipped it into a 1 lander that's a little bit non-functional.
Yeah, I'm guessing he's gonna keep this, but he may just get wrecked by the Sun Cleanser.
Yeah, the Sun Cleanser's gonna do a lot of damage unless he puts back at least one of these discharges.
He's got Static Prison and a Discharge, and then the Bolt. Yeah, it's not. I mean, this should be a game where Sun Cleanser really shines, I would think.
Yeah, he needs to find the second land is step number 1 for Canister. They're probably gonna see an Elegant Parlor on the end step, if at all possible, to avoid having to shock something and spend a removal spell.
Yeah,
Really could use that Surveil right now.
so Hayne found an Amp Raptor, so he can either go Amp Trap. I'm guessing he goes Sun Cleanser. Without when you play your Amp Raptor, you really actually want like one creature on the opposing side in case you find a removal off of it.
Yeah, plus if we hit land number 3, then we can go Guided Souls into Amp Raptor and guarantee that we can at least cast 3 drops.
Yeah.
Assuming no removal spell on the Guided Souls.
So
And Canister mins a Fable. And misses second land drop. No!
yeah, not gonna be much of a game here.
Disaster for Canister. And there is third land drop. So here comes the Guided Souls and the Amp Raptor main phase 2 if I was a betting man. Plus Aether Hub just like a good land for Amp Raptor anyways. So use the planes for the Guided Souls. Red, colorless, Amp Raptor. Guarantee yourself a 3-drop even if this Guided Souls dies.
Yeah, which presumably it will. The Canister may have been I mean, he may have had Change the Rocks in his list. If he did, that would be the card he would be looking to draw here, I'm assuming.
And another missed land drop for Canister. Maybe you have to Static Prison the Sun Cleanser pass and hope for the best.
Yeah, I guess he can do that and try to get the energy off the discharge somehow, but kind of a weird because he can discharge, but then Hayne could also, I mean, he could discharge his own guy at that point, potentially, if he really wanted to keep Canister off the Sun Cleanser for a little while, or keep keep himself off having the Sun Cleanser back, I should say.
Yeah, you've got to pay the 1 energy here, and then
Yeah,
you're either casting a Goddess Souls, which is pretty anemic, or you're casting a Discharge, which is also pretty anemic. But you probably just got to discard his Goddess Souls and hope Hayne draws all 22 lands in his deck. And that's not a land, that's a Fable of the Mirror Breaker.
yeah, no, that's a huge draw for Hayne. I mean, he was already in a good spot, but
Yeah, I think it's do or die turn for Canister now. If he doesn't draw a land, probably just call this one. Even if he does draw land, it's going to be in a precarious spot between deploying the Amp Raptors, the Sun Cleanser, the Ajani. You got a lot of decisions to make now.
Yeah, and the static prison isn't going to be around
It's an
necessarily
elegant
forever.
parlor.
Oh yeah, rough.
That's so brutal. Hey, these surveillance, they can come at a cost when you draw them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, we could picture draws where the Amp Raptor gets him back in, that right there, potentially, depending on what he hits.
Yeah, doing a little tank on the surveil. Like we've been to discharge, or maybe we left it on top. I think there was a discharge already in the graveyard. Might be land number 3.
All right, so what does Hayne? Does he want to loot here? I'm guessing he probably just keeps the hand, but I'm not sure. Let's see.
I think the Ocelot price is a little anemic on this current board state. You could probably do a little bit better.
Yeah, it's not amazing, but it is a spell. What's yeah? I mean, you could play it here. I think I would keep it personally. I don't know. I don't know what he's gonna do though. Okay, so he went and got rid of 2. I just feel like he's in a good position, and if he were to find, I mean, he found a land and a soul guide lantern. So he was really looking for Flage, obviously, but um,
Yeah, the
just going
Flage would have probably locked out the game as soon as he found it, but
like if he
I don't
just
know.
goes Ocelot Pride, Galvanic, discharge your Guide of Souls, and still has the Celestial Purge, that seems like a pretty decent spot to be in.
Yeah, instead has to buy the Giganta and then probably pass the turn, maybe play the Soul Guide Lantern out. It was lane
Yeah,
number 3 for Kanister, basic planes.
yeah. But Canister is still. I mean, so he can go presumably. Well, he could go a Johnny here as well. I mean, the Johnny makes some sense to go a Johnny here. I think I like that. I think I prefer that because then next turn he can try to use the Amp Raptors to get rid of the reflection, and like the Ajani in theory could gum up the board a little bit, with the threat of it flipping. But okay, he's gonna go a different direction.
Yes, this is super interesting because if Hayne had just held on to the Galvanic Discharge and then killed the Guide of Souls last turn, then this Lelia would not have been cast off the Amp Raptor. So maybe Canister actually finds a way back into this game.
I guess to be fair, Canister was probably thinking about the static prison because I think he might have been low on energy. So yeah, and this ended up working out quite well.
You still have the 1 energy to pay the Static Prison, and you pass the first Striker, which means the Goblin Shaman's probably not going to get the connect here.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean he could amp Raptor into a removal spell on the next turn potentially. The Galvanic Discharge from Hayne is an interesting pickup. So he can cast Gigantha, which presumably is going to happen this turn. We are going to see Gigantha be very relevant because if he didn't have the Gigantha, I mean, definitely the extra 5/5 could be a difference maker.
Oh, yeah. No reason not to play a free 5 mana 5/5.
You can do that plus Galvanic.
I wonder if there's no argument to ever casting Galvanic on the Raptor just to try to push damage since Canister is at 11.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I would do. I don't know if it would be, that's just my instinct. There's been so many decisions in these games that, I'm not gonna say that that one is for sure the correct one, but just getting Canister down to 7 seems pretty nice.
Yeah, I think the problem here is that Canister's hand is full of creatures that make 2 creatures, and that Goddess Souls is going to gain 2 life every single time, so it's going to undo a lot of the damage here.
Yeah, and also the Guide of Souls is going to provide the fodder for the static prison. So I'm guessing that even though intuitively that discharge makes sense, I mean, Oh, that's a huge draw actually, potentially, because he finds a Change of the Rocks, which he needed to get rid of the reflection, so he can get rid of the reflection and play a Johnny here. Not dead. I
Yeah, I
mean,
think Ajani's a little bit safer than Amp Raptor.
yeah, for sure. For sure. I like a Johnny. It's two bodies and it's pretty threatening potentially. If Hayne doesn't draw anything, he's
Yeah, the Amp Raptor could also risk hitting a 3-drop, and if you really want to cast that 3-drop, then you have to give up the Static Prison on the Sun Cleanser the following turn, which just doesn't feel that great. So I like the Ajani here for sure.
yeah, I mean Hayne's got things he can find, but the Soul Guide Lantern it's like pretty awkward. I mean, he probably cashes it in for a card because the problem is he's I mean, no one's drawn Plage this game, so it's just been a little bit of a weird game, and
Yeah, Soul Guide
uh,
Lantern is notably looking a little bit better than Surgical Extraction here because at least you can cycle it in spots like
that's true.
this.
That's true. I'm curious what would have happened if Hayne had done something differently with the reflection. Okay, so he's just gonna bash in, make make Kanister do some some math. Like obviously, Hayne could have Bolt or
Flage.
Plage. So does he?
Always gonna block the first striker and then flip the Ajani. That's just so
That's
smart.
that's a great block. That's just the perfect block. Yep.
Love it.
Oh yeah, that's sick. That is sick. Yeah, I mean, I think that Hayne probably should have cycled here immediately,
Get a little bit
but
more
I didn't. I
information.
mean, I wasn't necessarily seeing that line, so I don't know. As it turns out, if he had found like removal right now, it would have been better to.
Just lands.
Yeah. Okay. Well.
So brutal for Hayne. Felt like he was so close to just completely closing out this game, but Canister's like slowly crawling back here with these Amped Raptors. If we have good hits off these Amped Raptors, the Shijani could potentially just zero and kill this Giganta.
Yeah, I think Canister from this point is pretty in pretty good shape somehow. I don't know. It's been
It's another
weird.
Amped Raptor. That's a lot of energy, which means the Sun Cleanser is never coming out of the static prison.
Yeah, I think killing the Ant Raptor with that discharge ended up being worse than getting rid of the Guide of Souls.
Yeah, I think it ended up actually biting him pretty hard for that play. It looked good at the time. It looked appealing at the time, but knowing Canister's hand, it was risky.
Yeah, the Guide of Souls just been so much energy fuel and life and just everything. You just yeah.
I think this Goddess Souls has probably gained him, what, 7 life at this point?
Yeah, and I mean just providing fuel for the static prison hasn't been a problem either.
I think we're probably going to point this at the Goblin Shaman, maybe the Amped Raptor. Could just go upstairs, honestly. It just goes upstairs.
Don't mind it.
You kind of have the winning board against Canister right now, so I don't mind it either. Or sorry, against Alex.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean this game has been crazy. I mean, I think Canister's played it super well. Not that Alex has played it badly, just that Canister's played it like I don't know.
True Celestial Purge, does that do anything here?
I mean, there's the Johnny, but it doesn't seem like it's gonna do that much.
Yeah, plus we have another Johnny in hand, too.
Yeah.
I love this chump block here. Just like, I don't have to take this damage, or Johnny doesn't have to take this damage, nor do I have to even, like, try to force a trade here. I just chump and bide time. And there's the Flesh. Is Hayne just dead?
That's a good question. I believe he is. If
Go upstairs with the Flage and then fly Amped Raptor.
yeah, assuming that Canister goes for that play,
You do have to be cautious about removal
he probably just
because
assumes there's nothing in hand, which I think he might just. I don't know. He might just have that read, but
yeah, the only downside is if you go for this and there is removal, then you're gonna unlock this static prison, which I don't even know if you care about at this point. So yeah, just
yeah,
goes for lethal
yeah. I mean,
and
it was
wins.
very well played by both, but yeah, just a good match.
Yeah, that was an incredible match between these two incredible players.